What if everything you learned about Eve's creation is completely wrong? For 3,000 years, Bible translators told us God made Eve from Adam's rib. But 3,000-year-old Hebrew texts reveal a shocking secret. Jewish scribes used the word tselah, which never means rib anywhere else in Scripture. This translation error has convinced millions that women were made to serve men. We'll show you the real meaning of tselah and why it proves Adam and Eve were created as equal partners. To understand this shocking truth, we need to go back to the very beginning, back to Eden, back to the moment when God decided to create the first woman. You know that moment right before something huge happens? The air gets thick, time slows down, everything holds its breath. Adam walked through Eden's green paths. He watched deer run together in pairs. He saw birds build nests side by side. Everywhere he looked, animals had partners. But Adam walked alone. His heart grew heavy as days passed. Each sunset reminded him that he had no one to share the beauty with. God saw Adam's sad face and knew something had to change. But God didn't just speak another person into life like he did with the trees and stars. Instead, he chose a strange way. He would put Adam into a deep, supernatural sleep. This wasn't regular sleep. The old Hebrew word is tardama. It means a sleep so powerful that nothing can wake you up. It was like God's own medicine to make Adam totally unconscious. As God prepared for this moment, something amazing happened in Eden. The whole garden seemed to know what was coming. Leaves stopped their gentle rustling. Rivers flowed quieter, almost whispering. Even the wind held still. Birds stopped singing. Flowers seemed to lean in closer. All of creation waited in absolute silence. This was different from how God made everything else. When He created light, He just said, "Let there be light." When He made the oceans, He simply spoke them into place. But for what He planned next, words wouldn't be enough. Adam felt the sleep coming over him like a warm blanket. His eyes grew heavy. His breathing slowed. Soon, he lay motionless under a tree, trusting God with everything. He had no idea what was about to happen. This supernatural rest was necessary because God's plan required something special. He wasn't going to make Adam's partner from dirt like He did with Adam. Instead, God would take something precious from Adam himself. While Adam slept peacefully, God prepared for the most important surgery in all of history. This wouldn't hurt Adam at all. God made sure of that. But what He was about to remove would change what it means for two people to become one. The garden stayed silent. Creation itself seemed to understand that something wonderful was about to begin. But before we reveal what God did next, we want to hear from you. What do you think God is about to take from Adam while he sleeps? Will it be a small piece or something much bigger? Drop your guess in the comments below, and we will see if you get it right by the end of this video. We love hearing your thoughts. Well, here's what nobody tells you about that sleep. What God took from Adam wasn't just a small piece. It was something much bigger than anyone realizes. But to understand why God chose this strange method, you need to know about His first attempt at creating Adam's partner, an attempt that went terribly wrong. God's first attempt wasn't the sleep and surgery we just talked about. Before that supernatural rest, before the mysterious operation, God tried the simple approach. What if Adam wasn't the first man to feel heartbreak? What if someone walked away from paradise itself before Eve ever existed? Ancient Hebrew stories whisper about a secret. Before Eve, there was another woman. Her name was Lilith. God formed Lilith from the same red clay he used for Adam. She breathed the same holy breath. She opened her eyes in the same beautiful garden. When Adam first saw her, his loneliness vanished. But paradise didn't stay peaceful. Lilith was strong and fearless. She walked tall through Eden's paths. When Adam tried to give her orders, she refused to listen. When he expected her to follow his lead, she demanded an equal voice in every decision. Their arguments started small. Who would decide which path to walk? Who would choose where to rest in the shade? But the fights grew louder and angrier.
I was formed from the same earth as you.
Lilith would say,
Why should I bow down to you?
Because I was made first.
Adam would answer back. Their voices echoed through the peaceful garden. Animals stopped grazing to watch. Birds flew away from their harsh words. The harmony God wanted for his creation was cracking apart. Day after day, they argued about every choice. Neither would bend. Neither would give in. Both had been created as equals, but neither knew how to live that way. Finally, Lilith had enough. She spoke God's secret name and rose up into the air. She left Adam standing alone among the trees. She chose to abandon paradise rather than stay and fight. Adam's heart shattered worse than before. This wasn't just loneliness anymore. This was the sting of rejection, the hurt of trying to love someone who refused to stay. God watched all of this unfold. He saw how two people made the same way couldn't find peace together. He learned something crucial about human hearts that day. Creating another person exactly like Adam wouldn't work. The lesson of Lilith proved that two people formed from clay would just battle for control. They needed something deeper than shared dirt to connect their souls. God realized he needed a totally different approach. If he wanted Adam to find true love, genuine partnership, he would have to try something that had never been done before. The next woman couldn't be made from dust. She had to come from Adam himself, from his very body and soul. That way, they would be connected at the deepest level possible. So God put Adam into that supernatural sleep we talked about. And what he did next was so revolutionary that for thousands of years, Bible translators have been hiding the truth about it. For thousands of years, Bible translators have been covering up what really happened to Adam while he slept. They found one Hebrew word in Genesis that told the whole shocking truth, but instead of translating it correctly, they changed it. The Hebrew word was Selah. Bible translators saw this word and had to choose an English word for it. They picked rib. But here's the secret they didn't tell you. Nowhere else in the entire Old Testament does Selah ever mean a single rib bone. Not even once. Let's hunt through other places this word appears. When the Bible talks about building God's tabernacle, it uses Selah for entire walls, not tiny pieces of wood. Massive wall sections. When it describes mountains, Selah means the slopes or sides, not little pebbles, whole mountainsides. Everywhere else, Selah means something huge, a side, a portion, a major part of something. So why did translators choose rib? Maybe they thought it sounded safer. Maybe taking a whole side seemed too dramatic. Maybe they wanted something that felt smaller and less threatening. But this choice rewrote history. For thousands of years, people believed women were made from a leftover piece of man, like God used Adam's spare part to create Eve. This made countless people think women were less valuable than men. Churches taught that women should serve men because they came from a man's rib. Societies made laws keeping women powerless, all because of one-word choice. The real truth is shocking. Tsela means God took an entire side of Adam, not a rib, half of him. Think about Adam before this happened. He was whole, but different than we know him. When God took his Tsela, he removed half of Adam's body and soul, half his strength, half his body, half his very essence. Eve wasn't made from Adam's leftover piece. She was crafted from his missing portion. She carried all that was removed from him. This discovery transforms women's value forever. Eve wasn't an add-on to Adam's story. She was the other portion of humanity itself. When you understand Tsela correctly, you see that God created man and woman as true partners, two portions of one original human being. For 3,000 years, this truth was buried behind one wrong word. But now you know what Tsela really means. You know that women weren't made to serve men. They were made to walk beside them as partners. This revelation should transform how we see every relationship between men and women. It should transform how we treat each other. It should transform our relationships. But knowing that God took Adam's entire side still leaves one huge question. How did God split one human being into two without killing either of them? What kind of surgery could divide a person's very soul and keep both halves alive? No human surgeon could do what God was about to attempt, dividing one person into two, keeping both alive. This was surgery that had never been tried before. God looked down at sleeping Adam, but this time he didn't speak creation into being. Instead, he came close with gentle hands, like a doctor preparing for the most important operation ever. This wasn't about taking a spare part from Adam. God was about to split Adam's humanity right down the middle. God's hands moved with flawless skills. He began to separate bone from bone, muscle from muscle. Every organ had to be carefully divided. But it was more than just body parts. God was splitting Adam's very soul, his strength, his heart, his mind. All that made Adam human was being divided into two equal portions. God worked with care that no human surgeon could match. He made sure every piece went to the right place. One portion stayed with Adam. The other would become someone new. As God worked, he had to rebuild Adam too. He closed the wound where Adam's other side used to be. He reshaped what remained into a full person again. Adam would wake up different but still intact. Think about what Adam lost in that moment. Part of his physical strength, part of his way of seeing the world, part of his very humanity. But here's the amazing part. Nothing was wasted. Everything God took from Adam went into creating Eve. She wasn't made from leftover pieces. She was made from Adam's missing side. Eve carried Adam's lost strength, his missing perspective, his other side of humanness. She was all he no longer had. When the surgery was done, two full people lay in the garden. Adam had been remade into one portion of the original human. Eve had been created from the other portion. This is why Adam would feel strange when he woke up. Something valuable was gone from him, but somehow he felt intact again. The empty space inside him was healed, but it was still empty. God had just done something impossible. He had taken one full human being and turned them into two, not by adding to what was there, but by dividing what already existed. Adam and Eve were literally two portions of one original person. They belonged together because they came from the same source, not just the same dust, the same living, breathing human being. This divine surgery created something unprecedented. Two people who shared the same essence. Two people who were destined to recognize each other instantly. Now came the moment of truth. Would Adam feel the connection when he woke up? Would he recognize the woman made from his own body? And how would Eve react when she saw the man she came from? Adam's eyes slowly opened. The garden looked the same. Trees still swayed in the breeze. Birds still sang overhead. But something felt different inside him. He sat up and touched his side. The skin was smooth and healed, but he felt changed, like part of him was gone, but he couldn't remember what. Then he saw her. A figure walked toward him through the trees. At first, Adam thought it might be another animal he hadn't named yet, but as she came closer, his heart began to race. This wasn't like seeing anything else in the garden. This was recognition. Deep, instant recognition. Lightning struck Adam's mind. This woman walking toward him carried his bone, his flesh, his very essence. She was made from the side of him that was taken away. Adam jumped to his feet. Joy exploded from his chest. In Hebrew, you can tell he's not speaking calmly. He's shouting with excitement.
This is it at last.
He yelled,
Bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh.
These weren't pretty words of poetry. They were literal truth. Eve's bones had been his bones just hours before. Her flesh had been his flesh. She was walking around in the body that used to be part of him. Adam had named every animal in Eden. Lions, elephants, tiny bugs. But none of them felt like family. None of them shared his essence. Eve was totally different. She wasn't just another creature. She was his other side, walking back to him. The Hebrew word Adam used was zot, meaning this one, like he was pointing at her with pure joy.
This is the one I've been waiting for.
Eve felt it too. The Bible doesn't record her words, but she knew. Looking at Adam, she saw the other side of herself, the part she came from, the person she was meant to join. It wasn't romance that connected them in that moment. It was something deeper, like two puzzle pieces that had been separated, finally clicking back together. Their hearts recognized each other because they had been one heart just hours before. Their souls knew each other because they had shared one soul. This moment ended Adam's loneliness instantly, not because he found someone to love him, but because he found the part of himself that had been missing. Standing together in the garden, Adam and Eve were finally reunited, two sides that had found their way back to each other. But what does this incredible reunion teach us about how men and women are supposed to work together? The answer will transform how you see every relationship. Adam and Eve's story became the guide for every relationship that would follow. But most people miss the important message hidden in how Eve was created. Look at where Eve came from. She didn't come from Adam's foot to be stepped on. She didn't come from his head to boss him around. She came from his side. This wasn't an accident. God chose Adam's side on purpose. When you walk side by side with someone, you're partners. You see the same things. You face the same dangers together. You support each other when one gets tired. That's exactly what God wanted for Adam and Eve. True partnership. Two people walking through life as teammates. Watch how they work together in Eden. Adam didn't tell Eve what to do. Eve didn't control Adam. They shared the job of taking care of the garden. They made decisions together. Neither one was the boss. Both were important. Both had different strengths that helped the other. This is what the word tsela teaches us. When God split Adam's side away, He made sure both portions were partners. Eve got one side of everything Adam used to have. Adam kept the other side. They weren't whole without each other. Adam needed Eve's side to be reunited. Eve needed Adam's side to be reunited. But then something terrible happened that shattered this beautiful partnership. A serpent slithered into their garden with lies that would poison their world. The lie about the rib has hurt relationships for thousands of years. It made people think women should serve men. It made people forget that women and men are supposed to be teammates. But now you know the truth. Eve wasn't made from a leftover piece. She was made from Adam's missing side. She was his partner in every way. Adam and Eve showed us the intended example. They were different, but teammates. They had different gifts, but the same value. They worked together without competition. Their story proves that God never wanted one gender to rule over the other. He wanted both to walk side by side, two sides helping each other be reunited. When the serpent came with his lies, he didn't just attack Adam and Eve. He attacked the very idea of partnership between men and women. He wanted to destroy what God had created as beautiful teamwork. Adam and Eve found their perfect partnership. Two halves finally united as one. They walked together through Eden as true equals, just like God planned from the beginning. But what happened when their first children were born? Cain and Abel watched their parents work as perfect partners. They saw real harmony, but something dark grew in Cain's heart. What Cain did wasn't just the world's first murder. It was something much worse. Did you know Cain didn't just kill Abel? He did something to Abel's body afterward that was so horrible, it made God curse him forever. This isn't the Sunday school version. This is the raw truth about humanity's first family tragedy. Click the video on your screen right now to discover what really happened between these brothers.